I don't like movies the Coen brothers do, Kyle. I don't like Paul Thomas Anderson's the one that does Roosevelt or what is it, like the Royal Tenenbaums, the Life Aquatic. Isn't that him?
Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson's done a lot of stuff.
I don't think there's a
Didn't he do Boogie Nights?
Oh, maybe I got the wrong guy then, because I like Boogie Nights. But I remember looking through a list the other day of, I think it's whoever did Roosevelt. And I remember thinking, no, not Roosevelt. God, what was it? It was like a weird artsy movie, and I swear it had like Bill Murray in it. Not Roosevelt. I'm tripping, man.
Paul Thomas Anderson did Phantom Thread.
No, okay, no.
He did a bunch of video shorts with Radiohead.
No, that's not Paul Thomas Anderson then. It's not the Coen brothers. It's like the other guy, and he does artsy.
Paul Thomas Anderson did There Will Be Blood.
I like that movie.
Yeah, I think you like Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, it's not Paul. Didn't Paul Thomas Anderson go out with Fiona Apple for a while, I think?
Maybe.
Like way back in the day. I'm not thinking of Paul Thomas Anderson. There's another filmmaker, and he's artsy. It's not Wes Anderson, I don't think.
Wes Anderson's a director.
Is he?
Yeah.
What were some of his movies?
Wes Anderson did
Rushmore.
Isle of Dogs, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Royal Tenenbaums.
Yes, that guy. I don't like him either. Him or the Coen brothers.
Yeah, he has kind of a...
Thank you, everybody. It is Wes Anderson and Rushmore.
He has kind of a... Who's the guy that did... Oh, my gosh.
I've never seen Oh My Gosh.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm Dave.
Yeah, I miss out.
He did Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. Yeah, Wes Anderson has kind of a Tim Burton vibe to me.
Yeah, I've never liked... I think I like one Coen brothers movie. What was it? Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? I like that movie. Raising Arizona.
Did you watch the Ballad of Buster Scruggs?
I watched the first, I think, 2 episodes or whatever they're called, like the vignettes.
Short films.
I watched it with the guy who's singing and
Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, and then he takes out everybody. He's like the best shooter ever. Then that one guy takes him out and he's playing the harp. Yeah. I think I saw that one more. Like, the thing with the Coen brothers, I will totally give this to them. Almost always, the acting is great, and the cinematography and the way every shot is set up is unbelievable. Like, unbelievable. The look of their movies is fantastic. And I'm not trying to use hyperbole here. Like, it really is. Like, watching that Buster Scruggs, I'm watching on my TV just
it looks amazing. Yeah.
But the actual content and the plots and the entertainment value of their movies completely escapes me. Fargo was okay, but that was William H. Macy more than anything to me, and The Wood Chipper. But I find myself watching them. What was the one I hated so much? With the guy with the air gun.
Not There Will Be Blood. No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, No Country for Old Men. It's the typical Coen brothers movie for me that I can't stand.
I feel like you are describing my feelings about the Beatles.
Please don't do that.
No, it's how it. Like, I can appreciate it. Like, I can. No, except you actively go out of your way. Like, you're like, that's a Coen brothers film. I'm not going to watch it. I won't turn off the Beatles.
Like, I still watch the movies, though. I do still. I've seen most of their movies, weirdly enough.
You just don't find them entertaining.
And I don't understand how anybody does.
Okay, then never mind. I could understand how people like the Beatles. I just personally
like, if you're like a movie student, if you're somebody that like makes films yourself, how about this? To go with you know what, Kyle? Welcome into the drive. To go with where I think your analogy would work perfectly. The Coen brothers, to me, are the Radiohead of movie makers. They're insanely popular. They have a massive following. Everything they do musically is like super quality. musicians, most of my friends that like Radiohead appreciate, like, dude, listen to how Tom plays from the key of D. Like, it's just ridiculous. But I feel like, much like Radiohead, the Coen brothers could put out a movie that was nothing but sound checks, and people be like, bro, the spectacle and the vision they have is just so insane.
It's like Kanye.
But then I look up and I go, okay, well, I just listened to this entire Radiohead album, and there's like one song on there I actually like and would re-listen to. I don't want to listen to an album and be like, oh my God. Like, that's just,
that's how I feel about Drake. Like, yeah, that single was good.
Right? I could give you probably 7 Radiohead songs lifetime that I truly like. But problem is they've made 80 albums.
So you're not a Radiohead head.
Much like the Coen brothers. I appreciate, you'll never hear me rip them for not being good at their craft.
Right.
I just don't enjoy their craft.
Sure.
It's not entertaining to me. Radiohead is not a band that I'm going to pop in and listen to. The Coen brothers is not a movie I'm going to throw. When I get done with a Coen brothers movie, I feel like I've made it. I've made it to the finish line. Thank God. I'm not rewatching any of it.
That's how I started to feel about House of Cards, so I stopped watching it.
Huh.
I got through season 4 of House of Cards and was like, well, I did it. And then I heard there was a season 5, and I'm out.
I'm stuck on season 3. I've been stuck on season 3 for like over.
Yeah, season 3 is really tough.
From the 707, you probably don't like Quentin Tarantino either. I love Quentin Tarantino.
Tarantino's great.
See, Tarantino.
Did you? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Tarantino's a guy who does a lot of the things we were just talking about. You know, he does a lot of the artsy fartsy stuff and uses his soundtrack and his angles and the acting. But there's like always payoffs with Quentin Tarantino. You know, you're going to get James Gandolfini and Patricia Arquette in the bathroom going at it. You're going to get Val Kilmer. I'm actually saying everything from True Romance, which is technically only partially a Tarantino thing, but Tarantino pays it off almost always.
Did you see Bad Times at the El Royale?
No.
I need you to watch it. Because I would like to. It's directed by this guy, Drew Goddard. And if I told you right now that it was a Tarantino flick and you watched it, I think you would have believed me.
Okay.
It is. I went, when we left the movie, I was like, that was great. It just has the very Tarantino-esque quality of being like, there'll be a storyline that you think is the main storyline of the movie, and then it just ends, and that's it. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Like, it ends where you don't expect it to end?
Yeah. Like, it's just these really abrupt, like...
And I don't like that either. I need my stories to end generally with a nice bow.
They all tie in.
Okay.
It's all part of one movie.
Okay.
But, like, you think this is the main character, and then, like, oh, they die 3 minutes in. That kind of thing.
Well, that was how it was with No Country for Old Men.
Yes.
He lasted about an hour and a half, and then he dies off screen.
Yes.
You're like, wait, what? That we invested our time into Josh Brolin, and now he's dead.
And you didn't even see it. It wasn't even dramatic.
No, at all.
But yeah, Bad Times at the El Royale. It's really good.
From the 707, Dave, you know the Coen brothers did The Big Lebowski, don't you? Uh-oh. Yeah, I do.
One of your favorite movies.
Very aware the Coen brothers did
The
Big
Dave
Lebowski.
Abides.
So going back to yesterday's social media conversation, we'll have to carry forward at some point. The Big Lebowski, I'm going to piss everybody off now. Everyone's tuning out right now. The Big Lebowski is the tri-tip of movies to me.
Oh, snap.
Yep, I said it.
Oh, wow.
And what I mean by that is it's fine. I'll consume it.
Sure.
Even tastes good.
Uh-huh.
Does not nearly deserve the accolades that it receives.
Everything you need to know about tri-tip is that it's at its best when on a bun with accoutrements.
Yeah, when it's covered.
Yes.
With plenty of things. We have a lot to get to today. We're going to ease in on a Friday. Look at all the
lot of barbecue
Look
talk.
at all the new listeners. They're like, are you guys going to talk sports? I mean, I thought, but guys, it was like a treat.
It's because the last 2 days.
The last 2 days we trained them. Yeah, we never talk sports in this segment. All right, look, Kings were active again yesterday. 2 new additions. They're going to show off at least one of those additions, knock on wood, tonight. We also have the trade deadline roundup. We have a second 4-quarter territory for you today.
All these guests.
And we've got guests, one of which I'm not going to say out loud because I want to make sure you can guess which one. I just want to make sure that happens. But
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Sean Salisbury will join us with his regular spot at 7:35. Grant Napier is going to join us at 8:05. And we have not one but two pair of Kings Heat.
Kings Heat. Dwayne Wade's final regular season trip.
You want to go to the game tonight? Because we can help you out. We can absolutely help you out. And by help you out, I mean we can actually take it in.
We can literally just give you tickets.
Let you go. It's the Drive Sports 1140 KHDK.
High screen from Bagley, hooks the pass back to Marvin. He's going to try for three. He's got the triple. Extended arms from courtside from Costa Koufos, who saw that one coming. He had his arms raised before the shot left his hand. Kings now lead at 82-65.
Yep, Kings back in action tonight. The new look Kings, I guess. Sort of new look. Newer look Kings. They take on the Miami Heat. Pre-game at 6:30, tip-off at 7. Right here on the Sporty 1140. Kings stand at 28-26. They are, with the Clippers' loss last night, just one game behind that Los Angeles. The Heat are 25-27, but here's the deal. They are 14-11 away from home, and their last game, they beat the Portland Trailblazers in Portland. So this is not one of those, the Kings have yet to lose to a below 500 team at home. And I think do they have one home loss this year to an Eastern Conference team? That can't be right. I know they lost to Toronto.
And the Bucks.
Thank you. But this is not a game to take lightly. They should beat Phoenix on Sunday. You don't want to take any game lightly at this point, obviously, but this isn't as easy as it may look on paper.
It's going to be important in these first couple of games getting the new guys integrated.
Yep.
It's going to be very important to win those games. Because if post-trade deadline, if they get blown out by the Rockets, like, okay, the Rockets are really good.
Sure.
And that was a weird vibe with Shumpert getting traded. Okay, yeah. That's fine. But if they come back now and they lose to a not very good Heat team,
yeah,
and then
worried.
They follow that up, yeah, right.
Now, the good news is you have Phoenix on Sunday. Now, if they lose to Miami and Phoenix, and then they go to Denver and then the All-Star break, and you're sitting there on a 4-game losing streak, this whole mood is going to change very quickly. Right. That is highly unlikely, and you'd like to see them, honestly, get in with a win tonight, run Phoenix off the floor on Sunday. They'll probably get trampled by Denver, let's be honest, in Denver. I mean, that's just going to be a very difficult game for them to win against a team that's 23-4 at home, and then go into the All-Star break, get it together. As far as where they are currently, with the Clippers' loss last night, the good news is they're just a game back of L.A. The bad news is with the Lakers' win last night, they're just a half game ahead of L.A. They're a big L.A. sandwich right now. And we have a lot to talk about when it comes to that L.A. sandwich, too.
What's worse, an L.A. sandwich or a tri-tip sandwich?
Oh, definitely an L.A. sandwich. Come on now.
Bogdan ready, looking. He fakes once, gives to Skal, takes the handoff, Skal wheels, 3 for the win. He scores the triple, but there's still 1.6 seconds to go. No timeouts, New York. They've got to go the length of the floor. Skal Labissiere hitting just his 11th three-pointer of the season, and his 30th attempt puts Sacramento on top 102-99.
A lot of what could have been with Skal Labissiere, but what is not in question is how he was as a person and a citizen here. Wish him all the best as Skal Labissiere is traded for Caleb Swanigan. We'll get you more info on Swanigan later on in the program. Skal wrote on his Twitter, Sacramento, words can't describe how thankful I am for the opportunity that God gave me to play for this organization. I will forever cherish my time as a Sacramento King. The support from those within the organization was amazing, starting with all the people behind the scenes who made life easier for me on and off the court, all the way up to my teammates, coaches, and management. Vivek and Vlade are building something special in that city, and a big shout out to Kings fans. You guys are amazing. I don't think anybody has a bad word to say about Skal. Definitely some untapped potential there. You don't know if he will tap it or not. One of the best, top 2 high school recruit coming out. And then Kentucky, thought he was a little bit buried. I still remember John Calipari being interviewed by Katie Christensen saying, yeah, I misplayed him. I misplayed him in Kentucky. This kid's going to be special. I hope he is, but he will not be special for the Sacramento Kings. We'll have more information on that, along with their newest acquisition, Caleb Swanigan, and also Corey Brewer, who they signed to fill one of their open spots.
It says a lot that so many people went out of their way to talk about how great of a guy Skal is. Yeah. People will go, oh, man, like, thanks, Skal. But there were people who put, like, paragraphs out saying how much they're going to miss Skal.
Couldn't be a better guy. That's the and that's good. Good for him. Yeah. Good for him. Number 3.
Conley, 3 on the shot clock, in for Gasol. Fadeaway over. Smith is good. Boy, it barely touched the net. Smith just didn't have the size to stay with the fadeaway, and Marc Gasol has 20.
Kyle, we can't go over every trade that happened yesterday and throughout.
There was a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. But let me ask you this, just a very simple question. Is the trade deadline huge more for what happened or for what did not happen?
More for what happened, I think. I understand that Anthony Davis not going to the Lakers is huge, but the shakeup that we saw in the East makes it not only makes the East very interesting, but now makes the finals even more interesting.
Yeah. And yesterday was a lot of ex-Kings, whether it was Nick Stauskas again, whether it was Malachi Richardson, whether it was Garrett Temple.
Nick Stauskas. And then, of course, Nick Stauskas the third time. A lot of Kings going back and forth, but we also saw Marc Gasol move on to Toronto. We saw plenty of other moves go on. We'll the Nikola Mirotic move is the one I'm circling.
I know, dude. The rich get richer. My goodness gracious. Oh, and don't forget, the Lakers got Mike Muscala. It's a big deal.
I can't believe they traded Zubac.
I can't either. I can't. Although it was probably one of those, we'll give you Muscala and we'll take Beasley off your hands, but you got to give us something of value because we don't want Beasley.
Right.
Like they were paying to get Beasley.
Right.
I like the Grizzlies getting Avery Bradley. He fits in really, really well there. I still have a lot of hope with Avery Bradley. In fact, that's a guy I would have loved to see the Kings kick the tires on. I mean, that's a guy that I still think is going to be. I can see Avery Bradley playing serious minutes in the playoffs for a contending team. Simply because
he's done it before.
Yes, and his defense in the backcourt is still fantastic. And he's not an old guy at all. Markelle Fultz moved to Orlando. We got a lot to talk. So we'll take a break. Let's come back. We'll start with the Kings and what they did. We'll let you know who Caleb Swanigan is. Kyle has all the information on him and has been researching the last 24 hours. Yeah. Kyle is your Caleb Swanigan guy. Yeah. Corey Brewer as well. And we'll look a little bit tonight. We'll let you know who's available, who's not, right here on The Driver, who we think is available and who's not. Back in 3, Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The NBA trade deadline passed with a few more big moves. Marc Gasol was traded from the Grizzlies to the Toronto Raptors. The 76ers dealt former number 1 overall pick Markelle Fultz to Orlando. And the Bucks acquired Nikola Mirotic from New Orleans. The Kings also got involved near the end of the deadline. They traded Skal Labissiere to Portland for Caleb Swanigan. Sacramento also signed veteran free agent forward Corey Brewer to a 10-day contract. The Kings are in action tonight against the Miami Heat at the Golden One Center in what is Dwayne Wade's final regular season trip to Sacramento. Coverage here on Sports 1140 begins with game night at 5:30. Kings Live is at 6:30 and tip-off is slated for 7 o'clock. It's 6:30. Time to get that perfect Valentine's Day gift at Sharif Jewelers. Spend $99 or more and receive a pearl bracelet at Sharif Jewelers. Those are your top stories. Now back to The Drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
To call The Drive, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can also text them at 441140. They're ready to believe you.
Our apologies to many of our listeners. I got it. Apparently in the last segment, we were doing the morning brew. Especially during the last brew, you guys had difficulty. I'm nervous about the music now. You guys had difficulty hearing us over the music. It's weird because we do it every morning, and Kyle and I both have our headphones in, and we generally judge what you can hear by what we can hear. But apparently sometimes on AM radio, it goes a little bit different with the channel.
It felt a little hot today, but I thought it was just our takes.
Yeah, so did I, and our looks. So anyways, we didn't say anything great that you didn't hear. So I hope you enjoyed all the music that we played. 51 minutes nonstop music right here in KHDK. That's our brand. What else? When I got fired from KHDK and I did a podcast from my house, there was a big article in News and Review promoting it all, and there were a ton of people that were listening to our very first podcast. I was in my garage. It was in late May. It was over 100 degrees in the garage. It was myself and Sean Thomas. We didn't know what we were doing. We had done test runs, and then everybody, when we got ready to do the thing, we looked at, we could tell to the person how many people were listening. We had over 1,100 people that had somehow found us online, and then were ready to tune in. Like, it was a huge deal, right? It was so amazing and humbling that happened, and you're nervous. And we go on, and we had a text line, and everyone was like, yeah, this is awesome. Thanks so much. We miss you, blah, blah, blah. And then we start, and it's like, hey, we can barely hear you. Like, what's going on? You know, we can hear you, but we really have to turn it all the way up. And then your sounds are, like, really loud, but your voice, we can barely hear you. We go through this whole thing, and Sean and I are looking at each other. I don't know what.
It was live?
It was live, yeah. We did a live podcast. We did live, and then we podcast it, basically recorded and uploaded it from my garage. We didn't know. I mean, we had a TV station, for God's sake, out there filming, like, hey, this is the thing. This guy got fired. Now they're doing this thing, and it's in his garage. What a story. Nobody can hear us, right? So we do the whole show around for an hour and a half, right? Do the whole show. You got to forget about it and move on, right? Do the whole show. After the show, we go back and we're listening. And we're like, oh my God, like, you can't. I swear to God, Kyle, like, the music was all normal. It sounded perfect. And then we come on, it's like, and welcome into, the Carmichael Dave and Sean Thomas show. But probably not even that.
Do you have, like, the wrong mic selected?
Headphone jack was out. Mic jack was out by a quarter of like a millimeter. It was out of the computer. So we had all of our mics into one jack.
And somehow, it was picking up the computer.
It was picking up. We were the mic that was being used, instead of these expensive mics that we went out and bought, these condenser mics with phantom power and all this stuff to sound really, a lot of stuff I don't expect you guys out there to understand unless you're Radioheads. No pun intended.
Radiohead.
But no, the computer then switched, because the input wasn't working, to the mic on the computers.
Oh.
Which is the most, it sounds like you're doing it out of a bathroom, talking through a paper towel tube.
Yeah.
Sorry to everybody for that, by the way. Later, now that we're sitting here 6 years later, sorry about that day.
Hey, pro tip, if you're ever using a microphone and it doesn't sound right, check to make sure it's plugged in.
Right.
FYI.
The Kings plugged into the trade deadline. Thank you. Yesterday, their big move was Harrison Barnes. Yep. Their big move was Alec Burks. Some minor moves yesterday: Skal Labissiere for Caleb Swanigan and Corey Brewer. Caleb Swanigan is a big dude. That's the biggest thing you need to know about Swanigan. Big dude, did quite well in college, but has not really, he hasn't really, very much like a bigger version of Skal. Kind of, just in the sense that a guy who, you got potential, got buried on the bench, hasn't really seized the opportunities, and wants a new start. This trade was simply, I think, let's give a couple of young kids some new starts. And I think what Vlade hopes is that there was no way Skal, with his skill set, was really going to bust into the lineup with Harry Giles and Marvin Bagley and that type of crew, Willie Cauley-Stein, for the rest of the year. Skal wasn't getting any minutes there. I think what he hopes is with Swanigan is that there's the guy that, depending on matchups, Dave Yeager can throw him in there at times, and that's the guy that you hope is not going to get bullied by Steven Adams. You're not going to toss Caleb Swanigan around.
He's listed at 6'9", 260.
That's big.
That's a big boy.
That's a big boy.
He was the Big Ten Player of the Year 2 years ago. He averaged 18.5 points, 12.5 boards, 3 assists. He shot 78% from the free throw line.
Okay, that's a big deal for a big guy.
Right, and in his second season, he shot 44.7% from three. Only took 2.5 a game.
Sure, but still 2.5 a game and shooting that much. That's a big deal, even if it's a shorter angle.
That was a pretty big aberration from his freshman season at Purdue. But the fact that he did that shows that, hey, there's a little something there. Not saying he's going to be the Kings starter and play 30 minutes a game, but like you said, is a young guy with a skill set that's clearly there.
Couple of guys that just really needed new starts that are still very young. That's what I read out of that trade. The other move the Kings made, they signed Corey Brewer. Kyle, you're a huge fan of Corey Brewer's.
Love Corey Brewer.
Why don't you like Corey Brewer? What is it that he did that you don't like?
It's one of those things like, when you get in an argument with somebody and then you just don't like that person.
Sure.
And you can't remember why you don't like that person. That's what it is with Corey Brewer.
Okay. So you don't like him. You don't exactly have a huge case.
Yeah, I don't. I've just, it's, you have those like irrational sports things.
Yes.
My dislike of Corey Brewer is extremely irrational because he hustles. He's a 3-and-D guy who's going to do stuff like mess with James Harden.
Yep.
And maybe that's just why I'm not a fan, because he played against the Warriors a bunch of times, but I don't know.
Corey Brewer is 32 years old. Corey Brewer, I know why I don't like him. He played at Florida. He is listed as a small forward shooting guard, very much size-wise, kind of a Shumpert, 6'9". Mm-hmm. So that's a big shooting guard.
Yeah.
And a Corey Brewer's, it's a 10-day contract. He's going to give them a little bit of depth in the backcourt. And I spoke to people that know things yesterday and asked about the waiver wire and buyout market and what the Kings are going to do. And I was told they're going to be patient. They're going to be patient and look. They've got an open roster spot for a reason. And if something pops up, I know people want to know about Enes Kanter. And I don't think Kanter's coming here. I think he's going to go to a bigger market. Mm-hmm. There's also an idea that Kanter might sit out the rest of the year, too, because he's got a lot of stuff he's dealing with. I could be wrong. But it sounds like they're just going to kind of bide their time on this market. People have also brought up guys like Greg Monroe as well. If that materializes, I honestly don't know, and it's dumb to get into specifics. But they've got that open roster spot for a reason. They don't have to fill it tomorrow.
Yeah, and they did exactly what we wanted them to do at the trade deadline, right? They acquired a starting small forward. They unloaded some of their expiring contracts.
Yeah,
and they got better without undoing any of the young core, which I think is perfect.
It's exactly what we wanted. They got better on the floor. They got a little deeper, to be honest with you, because I think I know Burks is going to see playing time.
Mm-hmm.
Swanigan may see playing time, but certainly I think we'll see more playing time the rest of the year than Skal would have.
Yeah.
Barnes is an upgrade. And you're right. They didn't trade any of the young core, unless you count Justin Jackson as part of the young core, and I didn't.
I didn't either.
And also, the only thing they really did, Kyle, future-wise, it's interesting, is the Harrison Barnes thing. But worst-case scenario, they pay Harrison Barnes one more year at $25 million, and they're done. Not a huge
Right, that's absolutely worst case, right. I've always said that if you're going to swan once, you've got to swan again. I'm sorry, it had to happen.
Go ahead.
The Kings now have with Harrison Barnes.
It's not the thing is that I'm curious because I cut you off a few times, not intentionally. Were you trying to get in to get that out?
Yes.
Because I feel like you were.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
At least
I didn't
you're
have
honest
anything
about
else.
it. Okay, go ahead.
I think what the Kings have done is they've given themselves, you mentioned depth, but the versatility to have a lineup out there where you have like Bogdanovich running the point.
Yep.
And then you have Corey Brewer at the 2 and Harrison Barnes at the 3. And that is a very rangy lineup out on the perimeter with guys like Marvin Bagley and Harry Giles who can space the floor a little bit. That's a potentially really fun lineup. Don't know if they'll ever use it. But the idea that you now have basically these interchangeable pieces who can defend anywhere on the perimeter, who can shoot, who can make plays, that's a significant deal and something the Kings haven't had in a long time.
Kyle, you make a good point, and something in our final minute here that we didn't really talk about much yesterday, we'll talk about later today, but it doesn't really happen in football, but in baseball and basketball, there's something else that happened with that trade deadline. You sent a message to your team that you're in it to get to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The team knew that, the coaches knew that, but you now have the front office saying, guys, we have given you some more ammo. We want to make the playoffs this year, and there's some sort of there's always a new energy that shows up when you get new players. People see playing time ahead of them, new rotations, new people there. There was a video of Harrison Barnes arriving yesterday, and you see Dave Yeager say, "What's up, man?" And he goes to hug him, and he says, "I've been trying to trade for you for like 9 years. Welcome to Sacramento." Yeager said that to Barnes. It's a new energy, and they're going to be able to take advantage of that, you hope, starting tonight against Miami, of which Harrison Barnes is, knock on wood, expected to be available tonight.
Yep. But the Harrison, the Barnes, and he's ready to go.
More of the drive, including the entire NBA trade deadline roundup and a big win last night for the hated Lakers, right here on Sports 1140 KHTK. For those of you who don't follow on social media, and good for you, the station made the mistake of giving me direct access to the voice guy. I got the voice stuff back.
Can we hear the one that you posted on the internet for the people listening who maybe aren't as active on Facebook or Twitter?
Yes.
That'd be dynamite.
It should have never happened.
You showed me you were going to do that, but then actually hearing the guy do it is even better.
I mean, really, isn't that kind of... oh, by the way, another shout-out to Romania.
Romania.
Heard from the guy in Romania. It was very nice. Let's see here. I have no idea where it is, Kyle. I'll find it. Here we go. A lot of tri-tip talk, too. We're gonna do that's going to come up this summer. We're going to do a meat bracket. We'll have to get some sponsors.
I think we need to do like a 10-part pod and get the engineers in on it.
So what does that mean? That means that I got access to the voice guy, and when we come back from break and you hear the songs and the voice guy says, "More of the drive," KHTK. But I basically got to do whatever I wanted, so here's just one of them, for example.
So I have to say anything Dave writes on this script. Here we go. Banana, toaster, monkey, parrot, turtle. This guy's an idiot. My God, he's dumb.
So we're going to have a lot of fun with these because he had to say anything. There were no swear words. That was the only rule. I wasn't allowed to use swear words.
Right.
But he has to read anything I put on the sheet. So
I don't know voice guy. Uh-huh. I don't even know where he is.
I don't either.
I'm probably Salt Lake City, but I'm guessing he appreciated that.
I will say that I heard the entire session. And I won't, that's one, I'm not going to, Don Geronimo used to do that because he had a special relationship with Dave Walker, his voice guy. I won't play the whole session on the air because that's kind of private stuff where he's testing stuff out. But in the unedited version, he had a lot of fun.
Good.
He had a lot of fun with it. So, Kyle, a couple things I want to get to. You may have to sit this portion of the segment out, and I'll tell you why. You are the editor-in-chief of NinersWire.com.
I am.
And by the way, it's not NinersWire.com. Managing editor. Okay. And that is a USA Today property.
It is.
As is For the Win.
Correct.
So I just need to shout out real quick, and thank you to the people sending me this online. Do you know who Nate Scott is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, good, because Nate Scott needs to figure his life out, basically. He posted trade grades. Like I said, feel free to set this one out. This could be a conflict. I'm serious. I don't want to get you in trouble here. His grade for the Sacramento Kings for the trade deadline. The Kings went and traded for Harrison Barnes and Alec Burks, giving up a few assets, including Iman Shumpert and Justin Jackson in the process. Is their team a little bit better? Sure, but for what? What's the long-term plan here? D+. Now, just for the record, the Lakers didn't get Anthony Davis, then made some moves late to clear cap space to sign Carmelo Anthony. Lakers, C-.
What?
Thank you. Exactly.
So here's what happened. This guy.
Yeah, please.
This guy, Nate Scott, was assigned, hey, you're doing trade deadline grades. And he said, great. Then he went and looked at all the trades and went, I'm not doing deep dives on all of these. So he got to the Sacramento Kings. My guess is, this is not shade at him. My guess is he has watched 0 Sacramento Kings games this year. I would put the over-under at 8.5 minutes of Kings basketball, and I'm hammering the under.
And you just fill it in.
Right, and you just...
with narrative.
Right. So he doesn't look at what Harrison Barnes might bring to the Kings or how he fits, or Alec Burks or how he fits. He just goes, oh, these are a couple NBA players who don't put up eye-popping numbers, and the Kings didn't get better because of that.
Is that his you're going into the inner workings now. Is that his fault, or is that the editor's fault for assigning him that piece when he has not done the proper research to write it?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
That's a huge undertaking to do trade grades properly. It's a big undertaking.
But as a writer, would you ever turn something that, would you ever say to your editor, you know what, I don't know enough about this, I shouldn't write the piece? I don't think you would.
I have.
You have?
I have before.
Okay, good for you.
But in that scenario, I think that you have to say, like, yeah, it might not get up until after this date.
Right, but the pressure is you want to get it out the next day.
Right, of course.
People love
of course.
grades.
So you've probably been, right, so he's probably been, at that point, if you know you're writing that.
It's a garbage grade.
Right, if you know you're writing that, you have to start doing the research ASAP.
You wanted to get back to something we talked about in the last segment, and that's messaging.
Yeah.
Messaging from the front office.
I just think what the Kings did is so much different than, or the polar opposite of what happened in LA with the Lakers, where the Lakers effectively alienated their entire young core and said, hey, you're not part of the plan anymore. And yeah, they went and won last night. LeBron had a triple-double. And
I was going to say, they won in Boston after being down high double digits, and we ended up losing, but long term.
Sure. What the Kings did is they told Marvin Bagley and De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield and Bogdan Bogdanovic and Harry Giles that, look, you guys are it. Like, we believe that this is the team that can go to the playoffs this year and every year after that.
Right.
And I think that's a really important commitment that they made, and that they didn't take a huge swing for an Andrew Wiggins or somebody like that where they unloaded a piece of their core, because even one player like Bagley or Giles or De'Aaron or Buddy, even one of those guys being shipped out sends the wrong message.
I would say this, though. Just because Justin Jackson wasn't a piece of that core to us doesn't mean that mentally and chemistry-wise Justin Jackson wasn't a piece of the core to them.
I completely agree.
But it's the NBA, and as you know, NBA stands for no boring alternatives. And every piece that's there now knows that they're a central piece of the future. No boring alternatives.
No boring alternatives.
Nobody asked.
It actually stands for National Basketball Association. I don't know how you didn't know that.
Unconfirmed.
Let's go.
Deadline roundup coming up next. We're still chasing a couple of things that we don't want to tell you about unless they happen. Sean Salisbury at 7:35. Grant Napier at 8:05.
We're giving away Kings tickets later in the show.
We are giving away Kings tickets, and we will let you know exact times for those of you listening online all around the world, which if you're around the world, please don't win. Because
don't. What's your address? I'm in Italy.
Right. Yeah.
Right, can you get the tickets tonight?
Yeah. Can you be there this evening? It's a drive. Back in a couple. Sports 1140 KH.
Yes.